That's the right way to go, man. What's going on, man?
Jeez. I don't know. Keeping busy, I guess you could say. It's about as good as you can do right now. What's going on with you, man?
Pretty much the same shit. I mean, I'm working. Well, where I work is considered "quote unquote" essential. Yeah, I work for the county. I work for the sheriff's office for my county.
Okay.
And
so, what do you do there?
I work in the records department. Basically, like, say you want to call and say, "Hey, I want to see if so and so is in jail. Can you check for me? Can you tell me what their bond is? Can you tell me what their charges are?"
Oh, that's fun.
So basically, I just look up the information I tell you, and I let you know if they've already started the process for getting out of jail. I work with bonds companies that are calling for warrants or bond information. Lawyers calling for warrant information.
So I was going to say, so probably the majority of your calls are one or two things. People that are used to somebody getting arrested all the time, and it's nothing, it's nothing new to them. It's just, hey, you got, Brian fucking Jones's shit, that, here you go. Or people that are absolutely devastated because somebody got arrested and they're fucked. And I'm assuming that's the bulk of what you're getting, huh?
You pretty much hit it. You pretty much hit the nail on the coffin, man.
Yeah.
It's weird because, and this is going to sound shocking, believe it or not, you realize how ignorant and stupid people can be.
What? This is your first experience with that through this job?
Oh no. Like,
all right. I was going to say, yeah.
It's just one of those things where it's like you already know it, but then you actually see it happen, and you're like, why am I shocked? Why am I pretending to be shocked? You know what I mean?
Well, that's because, you go through your life and, if you're raised somewhat right, you have some expectation of somewhat of civility. You know what I mean? Some level of civility. And then you realize that that's not where a lot of people's jump-off points are, especially when they're dealing with something like that where somebody's been arrested. And, dude, I can only imagine the amount of people that are making that call and they're, like, this is bullshit. How dare so-and-so get arrested for, having a big fat bag of fucking heroin on them? How dare they? These cops are assholes, Like, it's like, yeah, no, they're not assholes. Like, that's not how this goes, dude.
Well,
why are they in jail for beating the shit out of their wife? Like, I mean, how else are you going to get her to clean when you want her to clean? You're going to use your words? Like, what? This is ridiculous. You know what? The fact that I even have to call you is insane. Like, they treat you like they're calling the fucking the airlines or something, 3-hour delay on my plane. This is ridiculous,
Yeah.
How dare you arrest my friend, for selling crack? How dare you?
How dare you put my baby daddy in the jailhouse even though he beat the shit out of me while I was holding our child?
Oh, God. Yeah, so so needless to say, you're getting the people that are still calling you with this shit during this whole epidemic, and in your mind you're going, couldn't you guys just calm down? That would be my thought. I'd be like, you guys, could you just calm down? We got some other stuff to worry about right now other than your, like, white trash bullshit. Could you not?
Yeah, especially with this whole, pandemic that's going on. And, there was a thing that came out, I think it was either the beginning of this week or last week that, the jail that I'm working at. I'm not working in the jail, just so you know. I'm, working records. The jail that, I am working at is, they had at least, I think, 26 people or 26 inmates that had contracted the coronavirus. And
well, of course, dude. They're all right sitting there on top of each other. Like, it's gonna... Well, no, I mean, that's the fucking thing with this whole situation where, we've got people in places where some of us do jobs like where you're doing, where you're working. I'm assuming you got what, like a handful of people in your office, if that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you probably could walk in, bring in a dozen donuts and, they wouldn't be eaten by the end of the day. That's probably how few people you got around you. But picture you work in one of these environments where hundreds of people are coming in and out all the time, nonstop. Or even when you're in a jail where it's just, they're practically on top of each other. Not that we should be like, hey, guy that has committed this horrible crime. Let's give you a nice big spacious loft, but nonetheless, that's where you're going to see a lot of this shit. It's going to happen in prisons. It's going to happen in big apartment buildings. It's going to happen in, any sort of, venture where you've got an office and there's 600 people and they're all breathing the same fucking air all day,
Yeah, luckily, the jail that, I've, had to pass through every now and then, it's not as crowded, it's not as bad because they'll keep the females on one side, they'll keep the, the males on one side. Yeah.
I mean, how rude.
Yeah, well, right?
They should let them hang out. Nothing could go wrong there.
Yeah, you're right. But what I was gonna say is we that day when it was announced, with those inmates that had the virus, I think it was either the mayor or our sheriff that made the announcement. Immediately we were bombarded with calls, from people saying, is my, I just saw the news, is my son okay? And we've had to pretty much give him the same spiel, which is, if it was, then we would have contacted you, we would let you know about it, A, B, C, and D. And then I think while this is going on, and I know it's not just a Texas thing, I know it's going around, other states, is that, jails are letting out inmates to have, less violent crimes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you see, I forgot you're in Texas. And, we were saying that the other day on the show where, Texas is one of those places that also just hands out these absurd sentences where, this guy robbed somebody and someone got killed in it. And they're like, you're sentenced to 2 trillion years. And it's like, what the fuck? So, yeah, I'm sure their prisons, it's got to be crazy enough as is. So, but no, I mean, yeah, that's a legitimate worry, especially, obviously I said a couple of minutes ago, people are getting arrested for, having drugs, selling drugs, stealing drugs, whatever. But, there's a lot of people that they just fall into addiction. And there's a lot of people that are probably there who just need mental health care, who just need to fucking go and, get some treatment for drug addiction. And now on top of them having these drug problems, they're getting calls that their kid's going to have the fucking coronavirus too, It's crazy shit.
It's a scary time. And also yesterday, my mom, she texted me out of nowhere. She's like, one of our neighbors just got coronavirus. And, she's doing the mom thing of, just make sure, you wipe down everything you touch, door handles, tables, ladders, chairs, oh my. Just be safe. And it started freaking me out a bit. I'm like, holy shit, like what if my mom gets it? What if my dad gets it? So I texted both of them. I'm like, just try not to have contact with anybody. Just try.
Just stay the fuck away from. That's what I've been saying to my mother too. I'm like, stay the fuck away from everybody. Just there's no point to that. Like, what are you getting out of it? But you know what? This is what sucks. Is how old are your parents? Say like in their 60s?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I don't know. How old are you? You're like in your 30s, right?
I turned 30 last July.
Oh, okay. So yeah, you got the parents that are around that age. They're around the and I hate to use the term boomer now because it's been so fucking saturated and made into such a mean thing, but there really is so much attached to this boomer generation and their behavior where it's the, it's fucking, I'm just going to go. Like, my girlfriend's dad is just, like he's going out shopping. He's still like going out food shopping almost every day. And like, He's like, yeah, I went and I got a burger. And it's like, dude, you're 62. Stay home. Stay the fuck home. Stop it. And that's it. I'm lucky that my mom is she's in medicine. So she's an RN. So she has some sort of respect for that in the sense of, wiping shit down. It's not like it sounds like your parents do too, but the wiping things down and washing your hands, staying away from people, understanding that, social distancing and all that stuff. But there's so many people in that, generation that it's just, they've done whatever the fuck they want to, as much of it for as long as they have and as long as they can. And this has got to be completely like, what do you mean I can't go to my friend's house and drink beers by the fire on Saturday night? This is ridiculous. And it's, well, yeah, dude, trying to stop you from literally choking on your own fucking, breath and dying, tough rules, I know, but yeah, that's kind of where they are.
Yeah, it's I think you guys did a soup last week where you were just going hard on like people going to the beach and doing the whole, you know what, coronavirus, I'm into partying. I'm going to party. It's not going to get away with my partying. And it's just like...
It's so insulting. It's just so insulting and so fucking just short-sighted in terms of just keeping people alive, keeping them well, keeping them fucking safe at all. And, it's one thing entirely when people do the whole deal of the, like, my freedom, my rights, my freedom. And, it always comes like the Second Amendment conversation, right? With the guns, where it's well, you shouldn't have guns because if my kids get guns, they're going to kill each other. If you're some dude that lives in a place like Texas, you're going to look at that person and be like, well, you can go fuck yourself because I live in the middle of nowhere and I own a bunch of guns and, I use them in my mind for home protection or whatever the fuck it is, and I can do whatever I want. And that's one thing entirely. But this is not like a gun where if you keep it in a locked drawer and away from people, the gun's not getting up and shooting people mercilessly. Without, you know what I mean? Like, it's not walking. Your handgun is not getting up and going into the next room and killing 6 old people. But, in this scenario, if you're just walking around being fucking negligent and stupid, someone could fucking die.
Yeah, because
very easily.
My girl was telling me the story about a Walmart that's, I think it's like somewhere downtown here, or on the south side, I believe. And there's a guy that works there, and he contracted the virus, and he didn't tell anybody. He just went back to work.
Oh, God.
And
that's a lot of people. They're doing that stupid shit, yeah.
I told my girl, I'm like, I don't care if this sounds mean. People like that deserve to die.
Well, you know what? But this is a problem that we have too, and I think this is just, an issue we have with our country as a whole, where we have the soldier on mentality, which can be both good but also bad at times. Where it's I'm sick, but I'm still gonna go to work. You're not gonna stop me, and also just the hand to mouth way that we live, where there's so many people where legitimately if they don't work, they don't eat. So they're saying to themselves, yeah, sure, I'm sick, but it's either this or I can't fucking feed my kids. But this is going to be a big eye-opening deal to a lot of people in terms of how we treat sick pay, how we treat people that work in some of the, the more, they call them entry-level jobs, but in a lot of parts of this country, dude, these are the jobs. Like the people that are working in, Target, Walmart, Shaw's, fucking Aldi, whatever the hell you got around you. The people working in those places right now, that's like the bulk of a lot of jobs in some more rural places. So we have to stop treating it like it's the shits and it's awful and fucking go get a better job, stupid. It's like, yeah, no, these people are now essential. Isn't that funny how that all comes to be? That not even 2 months ago, these were the jobs that everyone shits on, and now all of a sudden they're essential to keep the country moving. Weird.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. To me, I've never looked down on people with certain jobs. Because I've been there. I worked at a movie theater. I worked at SeaWorld for the majority of my life. And working at a grocery store, and now I currently work at a sheriff's office. So it's like, we've all been there. And I think if you've been there, you would have somewhat of an appreciation for it because you're like, yeah, there was a lot of work, going into it. There was a lot of work, working at a place like SeaWorld where you had to, you had 30 minutes to clean up these messy-ass stadiums before, these fat fucks came in like, I want to see Shamu, get the fuck out of my way. Where's my soda? I want ice cream.
Well, there's a lot of people that they forget that. They take 3 steps away from it, and then they go, oh, well, I'm better than that now. And it's like, that's not a game to play, especially when it comes to a lot of, basic human rights type stuff. And, I know there's a lot of people that will argue that, this is going to be real fun. I think in the next year or so, hopefully everything is, peachy keen. Not necessarily back to normal, because it won't be back to normal. People that have this mindset that it's going to be 3 months and we're just all going to be fine. It's like, no, that's not how this goes. But it's going to be real interesting in a year when, a lot of these, people that make YouTube channels and they're like, I'm going to pwn the libs. And it's like, dude, wait, maybe we need to relook at fucking healthcare. Maybe we need to re-look at sick time to where if we're ever in a position where this type of shit happens again, that if you're really, really sick, you can just stay home. It's fine. Stay home. Take care of yourself. This is not the end of the world. This is not you're going to starve to death if you have a fucking illness and you're going to break. Because now look what you got. Look what you got. And this is what's going to make people even more sick, is that mentality, is the I've got to go and do whatever the fuck I want to. And that stems from the I have to do whatever the fuck I can. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get you, man. So, look, all right, whenever all this stuff is, finally over, this whole pandemic and, stay at home, well, A, B, C, and D, how much different do you think the world's going to be, or society as a whole?
Well, it's tough. It's tough to say because, I couldn't have predicted in a million years, and, I'm only 36, but I could never have predicted in a million years when I was 18, 19 years old what the world was going to look like now. Even before what was going on, all of this, with all of the pandemic and everything, there was no way of knowing. Now, in these upcoming years, I don't know. I'm hoping we don't continue the trends that we were already going down. I hope we don't already continue this whole, divisive way of looking at things. Because to me, just watching the political stuff still play out is so asinine. It's just so fucking pointless. To the point that I saw something on, Twitter, which of course is not a representation of how people actually think, act, behave, or feel. But
really?
Nonetheless, I don't really think it is, man. I think it's such a microcosm of the way that a lot of people really act in the world, but it feels a lot more prominent when you're on it and you're looking at it. But I saw somebody and they were going, when South Korea had its first reported case the same exact day as the United States, and now South Korea has only had, 150 people die, and, America has had all of these different, has had all this shit happen. And then all it really takes is one, and by the way, I'm not saying that we've handled this swimmingly, but that's besides the point. But if you go and you just look, you go, okay, what's the population of South Korea? The population of South Korea is around 50 million people. The population of people in America is around 330 million. So you're going, okay, we have 6 times the amount of people, and how much more space? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just the response time, the ability to lock it down, shut it down, create a parameter around it, and also, who the fuck knows? I don't know what the culture is like in South Korea. These people, you might actually have a government where they look at you and they say, hey, trust us, we need to do this, stay the fuck home, we'll get you guys whatever you need to do, and you look at them and go, oh, cool, I trust them, I'll do that. I don't think we have that here. Do you feel that way? Do you have any of that inclination, like, that if things really had, if you'd gotten a call 3 weeks ago, and they said, hey, listen, Drew, just stay home, eat whatever you got, drink whatever you got, just shelter in place. If you need anything, call this phone number and we'll get you a delivery of the things you get. Would you trust that?
I honestly, I wouldn't.
The way I would either. That's the crazy thing.
I mean, I don't want to sound like Alex Jones here, but I don't really trust our government that well.
Yeah. Well, it's not hard to understand. But I will say this though too, with everybody having the conversation and saying, this is how the government's going to finally take all our freedom away. This is how they're going to get on us. This is how they're going to remove power from us and all this shit. And I'm like, if you've taken anything away from what's gone on in the past month or so, the government doesn't want to do what it's doing right now. You think they want to work that hard? They don't want to work that hard.
The one thing I keep hearing is, oh, they're going to declare martial law. It's like, nah, I don't see shit like that happening, because it's like, it seems like people watched way too many movies when they hear martial law. I don't. As hard as this is to believe, coming from me, I don't see things getting that bad to where they have to shut down the whole country and literally put a gun to everyone's head and saying, go back in your house. We're protecting you. We're the good guys.
Well, the crazy thing is that if everybody had just, for the most part, just fucking listened, like if people were willing to just take that on themselves, like I feel like certain countries, and I just mentioned South Korea, but places like Japan and shit, where there's a well-known and respected opinion of authority, to where if they say, hey, listen, you gotta go get your food and you're gonna be in your house for 14 days, they'll look at you and they'll say, okay, and they'll just go fucking do it. As opposed to here, where it's where I'm upset, I don't like it, I'm gonna go outside, they're gonna get poopies in the pants. Like that's how we are here. So it is definitely a reciprocal thing where people can say, well, we don't trust the government, which I can understand, but do they trust us? Should they trust us? Should they trust Americans to make the right choice at this point? Because it doesn't look like they are. You know what I'm saying?
So why do you think foreign countries seem to work better with this kind of stuff?
No, they're smaller too. I mean, the size is a big part of it, but also I've preached this for years, and it's a very destructive mindset that we have, I think, as a culture and as a country, is we have a deep belief in the idea that the customer is always right. And we're the customer, and how dare you? You're not going to tell me what to do. I paid for this fucking trip. I paid for this sandwich. Like we have this mindset that this is ours, and if it's not perfect, we demand an apology and all this shit. Like it's like, yeah, that is now being transferred into your own personal health and safety. The personal health and safety of other people. If this shit had happened even, in the 60s or 70s or even the 80s, in my opinion, we'd have banged this fucking shit out a lot quicker. People would have been a lot more cooperative. I think they would have trusted the government a hell of a lot more. And you could say, hey, maybe you're a slave to the moment and you think people are different now than they were in the past, but I don't know. I feel like if you were to sit down and talk to your parents and you were to say, hey, if something was this big of a deal and that devastating and you scared people on that level of, hey, this is the shit that's going to happen, do you think they would cooperate? I think most of them would say, yeah, absolutely. Especially when you say to them, oh, okay, what? So I have to stay in my house. Like, what else do I got to do? I can go play in my yard. The kids can go outside. Okay. That seems reasonable. What are we going to eat? Oh, don't worry. We got some food stored. The kids will eat. They'll eat fucking soup. We'll make the kids some soup and some spaghetti. Now we're sitting here, we're going like, what do you mean I can't go to fucking get a 5-star steak dinner in the middle of a fucking pandemic? Like, we're just so spoiled. We're so fucking spoiled. And I'm not removing myself from this equation and being like I'm better than this, but it's just, that's one of the reasons why you're going to see more of a fucking problem from us than other places. We're such a consumer culture,
Well, when you're saying that, it reminds me of something Mish said when I had him on the show, when he said this generation is the smartest, but it's also the dumbest. Because, and you kind of spoke volumes about it, where it's like the generation from the 80s, 90s, or the 70s, this is something that we more than likely could have knocked out in a month or two. Where because the generation from back then was like, go clean your room, yes ma'am. Make sure you don't go out past 9, yes ma'am, yes sir, whatever. We have this generation
more docile, and I know that that's not always necessarily a good thing, but sometimes it's not a bad thing,
Yeah, I mean, this generation of kids that are like, I'm an adult, I should be treated like an adult, I want to live my life, and it's like, dude, we are doing this to literally make sure you don't die before you're 14. It's just, and I try not to get involved in politics, because, I always say politics, they kind of hurt my head, when I think about it. And, it's not that I don't care about politics to where I don't care about what happens to this country, but it's one of those things where it's just like, at the end of the day, it's always going to be the same person. It's always the same talking head saying A, B, C, and D. And this whole coronavirus has, this pandemic, not just this pandemic, this country has kind of opened up my eyes a little bit. Not a little bit. Meaning like it's made me pay more attention to what's going on out there. It's because I'll admit I was one of those people who are just like, this is gonna blow over in a month. Now I'm just like, oh shit. You know what I mean?
Well, that's a big part of it is that if you're a person that's not, if you don't have somebody that's in the medical field in your life immediately, or you're not looking at it from the perspective, and no matter any way you put it, and I don't care if it's Obama, Trump, Bush, Clinton, other Bush, whoever the fuck is president, we don't put enough focus on taking care of people, no matter who it is, no matter who it's been. We don't focus enough on taking care of people. And I know there's this, they should do fucking lazy, go get it themselves, go do it. And it's like, no, this country has got a fucking metric shit ton of not just people, but people that have mental illness, people that have physical illness, people who have serious issues with trauma and abuse and have been through just crazy wild shit. We all love to put on the TV and watch our murder porn where it's the, this guy grew up and, his dad was burning him with fucking lighters and beating him with shoes. And we give these people HBO specials and Netflix specials. Yeah.
Sam, I'm guilty of watching those.
Right. And everybody sits down and watches the murder porn. And then they go, I don't understand why these people are all fucked up. Why don't they just go get a job? Like,
God.
Would you watch the murder porn people and the shit that some of these people have been to or been through in their lives and the abuse and the violence and shit, and then just be like, why aren't they CEO at a fucking company? I don't understand. Like, why aren't these people mentally stable and functioning in society? And it's like, oh, well, I don't understand why this, guy who, has severe fucking PTSD from going to war and was abused his entire life by his alcoholic dad and just enlisted to get the fuck away from the beatings. I don't understand why he came home and now he's a crazy person and is jerking off in the fucking subway carousel. I don't understand. How did we get to that? And it's like, because everyone is so removed from one another. This is why you're going to get the shit that you're going to get, because, and like I said, it's not a matter of what party you were, who the leader is. Is it a Republican? Is it a Democrat? Is this that? It's just we're so focused on people taking care of business in the government on their own level, doing the shit that they feel is necessary for themselves to get by. Because we're giving billion-dollar deals to each other's buddies to build jets to sit in fucking empty, Air Force hangars, instead of taking that money and preparing for a situation like this, where they're sitting there and they're going, we don't have respirators. There's nurses wearing trash bags. There's nurses taking care of people wearing fucking trash bags and gloves that are 3 sizes too big for them. But hey, thank God we got that fighter jet. Thank God we got that. That's helpful. Thank God we're fighting endless fucking droning wars in the Middle East where we're legitimately spending hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars a month to a year to air condition a sandbox. Thank God we're spending our money on that. And I think there's going to be a lot of people that, and by the way, Trump is the perfect president for this because he's become the person that's such a cult of personality. And there's so many people that blindly listen to him that he's going to be a guy that's going to stand up and be like, everything's great, everything's fucking swell. And when he gets 4 more years, which I think he's going to, it's going to be more of that same shit where there's going to be people and they're going to sit there and they're going to go, hey, didn't we learn something from the pandemic now, and maybe we need to focus on like health care and change our views on how we treat education to where, the internet should be considered, this is not an amenity. This is not a fancy thing anymore. This is not something that, the rich folks get. Everybody needs to have the fucking internet. It's important to us. Like, all of these conversations are going to come up, and Trump is just going to look at this fucking commie. These guys are fucking. Oh yeah, okay there. Where's this magic money gonna come from? You're like, what's the same magic money that's gonna bail out the fucking airline industry? The same magic money where, if you look online right now, 6 of the biggest fucking oil company tycoons, they didn't. Don't worry, they got on their private jets and flew to Washington D.C. and had a conversation personally with Trump in the midst of this. So they can do it. Don't worry, they're taken care of. Thank goodness, thank God. Because it would be such a worry of mine that people were being taken care of instead of the guy that owns fucking, Exxon Valdez. But Trump is the perfect guy to stand on stage and call people that want basic human rights and look at them and go, look at them, they're fat. See, they're fat. Look, they're fat and they're ugly and they're stupid. They're not smart like me. And people will go, he's my hero. And I said it on the Rock show with Luke Spencer the other day. And he is the perfect midlife crisis. Becoming like a big Trump supporter is the perfect midlife crisis.
Yeah, with Trump, going back to what I was saying about politics, the reason why I don't really talk about it too much or really at all is it's one of those things where it's like no matter what you say about Trump, whether it's positive or negative, there's always going to be, oh, well, I'm not saying you did. I'm not saying you did that, or doing that to me. But, like, it's always going to be, well, you just don't know enough. So that's why I just kind of just go, you know what? I'm just not going to say anything at all. I guess I'll just say this about Trump. I'm just amazed how he got into office. Because you look at Trump support, and I have friends that are Trump supporters. And the weird thing is, I think they're more of a fan of his politics rather than him, if that makes sense.
They are in that sense. Well, but here's the funny thing is when people say that even now at this point, like they're a fan of his politics. And I'm like, but are most people that take dude, I'm not even one of these people that has spent the past 3 years dumping on Trump, not in any way, shape, or form. I completely understood how and why the guy got elected. It made complete sense to me. For all the people that were going, oh, I can't believe, I'm so flabbergasted, I can't understand why this guy got in. I go, well, you haven't left, now it's funny to say, but I don't think you've left your house. I don't think you've driven around and been around to enough places in this country where you look and you go, oh, I 100% see how they fucking voted for this guy. I 100% see why he's the president. But there's so many people now that they're not even a fan of his politics. They just like him. And like I said, he is the perfect midlife crisis, and I'm seeing it happen more for guys that are around my age, where instead of getting the red sports car, they get the red Trump hat. Where he now becomes them. They can kind of live vicariously through him. I don't give a fuck, but I'm tough and I'm smart and I'm cool and I'm better than these people and I'm X, Y, and Z. And it's very unhealthy. It's a very, very fucking unhealthy way of people to live and to function and to project onto things. But I don't know, man. I don't know. What do you think the fucking world's going to look like in a year?
I honestly don't know, man. It could go either way. I try to live in the moment, because anything that can happen today could affect, the next 5 years. You know what I mean? Trump in office, it's just. I don't want to make this too political, but it's just like. It seems like things have gotten progressively worse. And I know, duh, but it's one of those things where it's just like, regardless of what he says or does, the people that love him are always going to try and dance around, what he said. They're going to try and dance around the topic. You know what I mean? Like, because one of my good friends, he's one of those, like, whatchamacallit, those off the grid type people.
Ah, gotcha, yeah.
Not
doomsday prepper type guy?
Maybe it's not that extent, but more just like, I don't watch anything made from Disney or Universal or, Paramount because they're all pedophiles and Trump is amazing and Trump wants to take out pedophiles. It's like, Okay, dude, you want to get some pedophiles? I'm playing, but he's a good friend of mine. I like him, but he literally said on my post he thinks Trump is the greatest president ever, and I'm just like, I'm just gonna back away from this. But
this situation, this going down with him, all of the fucking pandemic. Well, that was it. I mean, and I've said this, 6 months into the dude's administration, I go, I don't think that there's anybody specifically right now, any person that can take him down. Nor do I think there's any behavior that can take this guy down. Now, if 1 million fucking people die in this situation, that might do it. I have maybe 1 million. You know what? Maybe 1 million dead nanas will get people to and look and go, yeah, it's the 1 million dead nanas is more of a problem than the kids who want to be given fucking pronouns or whatever. You know what I mean? Like they can just. I hate these fucking college kids. It's like, yeah, a million dead grandmas is 1 million dead grandmas. Maybe we should worry more about that.
That's a little bit too extreme, man. I get you. I totally understand, man.
It's 1 million dead. That's what they're saying. If people don't take the social distancing seriously, that actually 1 million to 1.5 million people could fucking die. So they're saying that, well, really, we've gotten out under the radar if 500,000 people die. We've gotten out under, wow, it's just, we missed that one by a skin of our teeth. Only 500,000 people fucking died. Do you remember that we've been in a war, or multiple wars, for fucking decades now? Because 3,000 people died? And that's not underselling them or their lives or obviously the fucking horror of that situation, but the idea that, 3,000 American citizens dying in a preventable fucking attack was enough for us to merit spending trillions of fucking dollars, fighting all these wars and sending people overseas, and they're coming home with fucking PTSD, like I said earlier. That was enough. But we're sitting there now saying, optimistically, only 500,000 people will die. That's all. That's it. Only 500,000 people. It's all well. A little weird, huh?
It just feels like the new norm, and it's scary. You know what I mean?
It should be. It should be a little bit. It should be a little bit scary that now we're going to get to this point where, and what makes me laugh too is remember when fucking Obama was going to become president. The conversation with Obama was that he was going to give everybody health care, and we were going to end in this place where Obama's going to he's going to have death panels, and he's going to say you get to live and you get to die, and maybe my grandma, my grandpa Obama's going to make my grandma and grandpa die. Well, now grandma and grandpa's going to fucking die, and instead now grandma and grandpa's going to die. Now they're gonna fucking it's funny, but it's not, because that was the big. Obama wants to give everyone health care, and it's gonna come down to he's gonna decide if my grandmother or my grandfather dies. It's just like, well, now we're gonna be in a place because we fucking were lazy and no one fucking paid attention to anything. And Trump went golfing for a fucking month and a half. Well, this fucking disease was pouring itself all over our country like maple syrup on a fucking stack of flapjacks. And all these goddamn people are people's grandmothers and grandfathers and parents are going to die. And you're going to be like, oh, well. As long as not everybody got health care, though. Thank God. Thank God we didn't have Obama's fucking health care for everybody. My grandma and grandpa wanted to put them on a death panel, and people were going to sit up there. Elizabeth Warren is going to have my grandmother killed. That's the plan. That's the big plan. Well, now, there you go. Well, now you fucking... I hope you saved your money on that whole process. Hope you brought your shovel, because you're going to need it. Sorry, I'm crazy. I've done like 40 fucking shows in the past 50 days.
Have you actually slept in between them? Like, Jesus.
Not particularly. Not too well. But
like,
no, it's not. This is just such a. It's just I get really insanely passionate about these conversations because it's so based around this idea where we care about people and we care about life and we care about this or that, and it's like, but only if it's within your narrative, it's within your story. You know what I mean? It's like if my person doesn't have the good ideas, in my opinion, that keep people alive, then it's awful and it's fucked up and it's bullshit. But if my person has an idea, then it's brilliant. It's fucking brilliant. Only 500,000 people are going to die. Don't worry, Drew. Only 500,000 people.
Yeah,
We got to spare.
Yeah, kind of sounds like how wrestling works.
What was that?
So, like what you just said, my idea works better. It kind of sounds like how wrestling works nowadays.
Oh, well, yeah. That whole industry is a complete fucking disaster, too.
Yeah, it is so depressing watching these empty arena shows. Like
imagine being excited for WrestleMania right now. Like that,
I can't imagine
who's so weird to circle around and talk about WrestleMania after all that, but imagine being legitimately excited for WrestleMania.
It's just depressing. Like it's one of those things where it's just like I think it was Kevin Castle who suggested after Mania just take the month off. Just in WWE, like they literally own everything. They own this cornucopia of wrestling media. Just on Monday, let's and to kind of take an idea from DT, do like this week in wrestling history. This match happened. This moment happened. Like show like the best of Halloween Havoc on Monday. Show like the best of ECW Heatwave '97 or whatever. Just you have all this shit. Like give people time.
All the wrestling.
And
90% of the wrestling that has happened, not including like small independents and TNA, it's about it. They own all the wrestling. They have shit they can use. They just choose not to because they're pig-headed.
I mean, it's easy for them. For AEW, I think it'd be a little hard because they're new, so they need as much exposure as they can.
Right. Well, AEW also has 2 hours of television to fill. They don't have to be doing this YouTube show. Which I still find weird that they're like, oh, we're going to do our YouTube Dark Match show. It's like, let's not. Let's not. Just focus all your energy on the show that's on the major network and try to get ratings on that. Make that as interesting as possible. Make that as fun as possible. Because that's really what matters. The internet show, who cares? Don't do the internet show. Just and that's one of the reasons why. And it's another one of those cases where, read the signs, read the warning signs that are coming at you, where, especially we're talking about like the healthcare system and all this other stuff, where people have been griping about it for 20 years and saying it's not good and there's problems, we need to focus more on this, that, and everybody kind of blows it off. But if you were to transfer a little bit of that thinking into the wrestling world, how many people were looking at Vince saying, hey, WWE, you don't need 15 hours of television a week. You don't need 15 fucking hours. You don't need
preposterous.
Right. So now they're in a point where they've been telling people, this is, we have, Raw, SmackDown, 205 Live, Superstars, NXT, fill in the like they have all these shows, and now they're really up shit's creek because they can't do any of them. But they were so focused on this idea that it's just quantity over quality. And now they're truly fucked. They're fucked. Because I don't think that this like even a room with a couple hundred people, I don't see that happening for a good while. At least in the year 2020. I don't see that shit cleaning up anytime soon. The people, that's a funny industry that nobody's talked about. But think about everyone who's got a wedding book this summer. That shit's done, huh?
Yeah, actually, we were just recently supposed to go to a wedding. It was my girl's cousin's wedding, who, of all her family, I think that's the only cousin I haven't met. And we were going to go. We were going to, have the whole weekend off. And, of course, they had to cancel everything because of everything that was going on. And I think, like the priest was telling her, you can still have the wedding, but you can only invite 10 people. And she's like, I'm not inviting 10 people. And the priest was like, well, I'm going to get fired if I let you invite more than 10 people. So, they had to move the wedding.
You just should cancel it anyways at that point. You know what I mean? It's just, who's going to have fun in this environment? You know what I mean? Like, who's going to sit there and go, oh yeah, let's pull, Grandpa and our old aunts and all these other people. Let's pull them out of retirement homes and bring them to a room full of people that potentially are infected. But because it's really important for them to see us have a big birthday party and dance to Whitney Houston. Like, it's like, no, like, fucking wait. Let's wait 6 months, okay, and see what the deal is. But yeah, that whole industry is just. You're up Schitt's Creek this summer if you thought you were going to either get married or you were going to make any money doing that. That's done too.
Yeah, I mean,
which is also probably for the better for a lot of some guys are sitting around wiping their brows, going, "Whew."
You're not exactly wrong on that part. There's that kind of selfishness that comes out in me where it's just like, I get it. But it's like, man, I just miss going out and doing things. I miss being able to watch sports. I miss being able to go to the movies, I miss watching wrestling because, it's still on, but is it really on? You know what I mean? It's like that saying, if a tree falls in the forest and there's no one there to hear it, did it really fall?
Well, I think that, but this is another one of those things, though, where would you rather not have this stuff for 3 months or a million dead grandmas?
Oh, you're right. I get you, but
that's once again, that's it. That's the place that we have to start and finish there. Where when somebody says, "Oh, this sucks," and I hate this, and blah blah blah, and it's hard to, obviously, to not get into that mentality a little bit. Dude, I haven't seen somebody outside of my apartment now, with the exception of my girlfriend, in 16 days. It sucks. It fucking sucks. But like I said, you have to, at some point in your head, you got to go, okay, what is this worth? What is this worth to people as a whole? And it's not, you're not sitting there going, I'm being heroic, I'm being brave. It's like, no, you're just being considerate. Mm-hmm. That's really it. It's just being considerate. Which is funny too, because you could definitely have a conversation about the whole idea that consideration is so dead, and treating people, with that baseline respect and decency is so lost that basically someone would walk into a room and look at you and go, "Oh, hey Drew, what's going on? Oh, hey, how's it going?" It's like, "Hey, I'm going to try to not kill you. Is that okay? Is that all right?" It's just, hey, no. You would have to be like, "Hey, can you do me a favor and just not kind of kill me? Could you do me a favor and not kind of kill me?" It's like, I don't know about that. You're asking a lot of me right now.
I'll try, but I guess
this guy's fucking rude. Like, he's like, "Could you not? Hey, could you?"
The gall on that guy, Jesus.
Yeah, could you like even when I see the people wearing the masks too. And, I'm seeing responses to that from people even online where they're going like, the mask doesn't help you from not getting sick. And it's like, yeah, but it stops that person from getting other people sick too. Don't you get that? Like, it's just, like the people that are on the trains in China and Japan and all this, and they wear their face masks all the time. People in their head, they think like, "Oh, they're just crazy. They keep themselves from getting sick." It's like, no. They're trying to be respectful of you. I know this is once again a completely lost concept of, I'm going to try to keep other people around me from getting sick, but that's how fucking completely selfish people's thinking is nowadays. That you're going to wear the paper mask. Oh, that's not going to stop you. It's like, yeah, believe it or not, I do things for somebody other than my fucking self. You piece of shit.
It's going to be a tough road, when this stuff is over, like you said, people are still going to be like, do I really want to go to this basketball game with all these people sitting around me? Because, I get you. I get it. I probably wouldn't either because, like, I used to be kind of a germaphobe. This has kind of made me, this has made my senses go all the way the fuck up. Especially, hearing my mom tell me my neighbor has this, deadly disease. I could come into contact with her or somebody else that has it. So, it's as kind of messed up as it sounds, it takes your mom to say, "Hey, I'm close to somebody who has this disease," and it's like, "Oh fuck." And it's
like I was just talking about funding healthcare. Imagine the mental health issues that people are going to have after this.
Oh boy, it's
think about that. Like you're just sitting there saying I was a bit of a germaphobe. What's going to stop you now? In 6 months from now, if you're still in your mind and you're attempting to get back into your life and you're attempting to do your daily business, but in the back of your head you're sitting there going, all these people are sick, they're going to get me sick, I'm going to die, people are going to get me sick, I'm going to die. And guess what? You just went through a 6 month, whatever year-long experience where that was real. This isn't like you just made some sort of delusion up in your head, some sort of paranoia type thing where you're going like, oh man, I better wash my hand 32 times and then flush the toilet 4 times or I'm going to end up with fucking Ebola or something like that. Like, it's like, no. You just went through a real experience where that happened and your life was at risk. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's this is kind of answer your question from earlier. Do you think things are, how do you think things are going to be in a few years, 10 years? I think it's going to be a combination of people either being more aware of shit and taking things a little bit more seriously, and then you're going to have the people that make it worse for everybody else.
Oh, yeah. Oh, dude. There's going to be... We've now gotten to the point where people are living their lives comparable to they do online. And like I said, it's not everybody. It's not even the majority. But that's why you saw videos when this shit first started of people sitting there going, oh, I'm going to go to a grocery store and lick stuff. It's like, yeah, you're... Because they think the world is a fucking TikTok video. They think everything's a fucking joke. They think it's Instagram and it's look, see, isn't that funny? Isn't that humorous? Oh, like I'm going to get a lot of people to look at me and make me feel special. And it's like you don't even realize that you're killing people and you're a piece of shit.
Do you think so?
I'll be interested. You're right. 5-10 years. Who the fuck knows?
So would you say the internet? Like social media shit, like TikTok and Instagram. Do you think it's like probably been the worst thing to ever happen to people?
No, I wouldn't say it's the worst thing. But it's got to rank up there pretty highly since the turn of the century. You know what I mean? For the 2000s, because it's done quite the number on taking people's, like I said, connection and understanding and sense of self to each other, to where even when people talk about some of the mental health stuff, which it is important, and like I said, and as the next couple of years are going to unfold, we have to spend a lot more money, a lot more time, a lot more resources and respect for that, because we're going to see otherwise. And think of the kids that are going to be fucked up in this. Holy shit! But it's when you look at it in that perspective of how much that's affected people and it's going to affect kids, and social media and the internet and just the overwhelming amount of stuff that is consumed today. I feel like it's going to do a couple different things, at least going forward. Right now, we've got a lot of people that are just going to be lost. If you're, like I said, if you're licking shit in a grocery store, or still focused on how you're going to get people to watch your TikTok videos while the fucking all this nonsense is going down, you're already kind of lost. I'm hoping that all of this crazy shit happening will be some sort of a message that parents should be able to carry on to their kids who are younger, whether they're 8, 9, 10, 11, whatever, around that age, where they look at them and they go, hey, does the video really matter right now? Is it that important? You know what I mean? Is it really that important that people from other parts of the world and country think you're funny or great or cute or whatever the fuck? Is it really that big of a deal when at any given point our lives can just unravel and we're stuck in our house eating fucking ramen noodles hoping that nobody comes and shoots us? Like, is it really that big of a deal? And I'm not saying we're at that point yet, or we'll never, or we are even going to reach that. But not even a week ago, I'm seeing, Mish is telling me this, and Shaheen's showing me goddamn, footage of people in Philly, and there's like lines around the block for people to buy guns. Lying around the block because they're scared shit. What if somebody starts trying to break in their house? What if somebody starts trying to fuck with them? Like, this is a big, what's the word I'm looking for here? This is a big audit on life. At least it should be for a lot of people. So, yeah, in a couple years, hopefully this will right a lot of younger people. Hopefully this smartens up a lot of people that are even, like I said, middle school age, high school age, because this should shape the way that you respect things and look at them and your perspective on the world. Where, and it was funny because John was telling me a story too, where he went to Target with his two kids, and I believe his daughters are like either 14 and 13 or like 16, like around that time, like around that age period. And, he said to me, he goes, without fail, he goes, they're walking around. He's like, they go over and they start looking at clothes. They're like, oh, I'm going to try on some clothes. And he's looking at them like, are you guys fucking crazy? We're here to get some basic supplies and go the fuck home. And you're sitting there like, oh, can we try on this clothes? He's like, yeah. They're like, oh, we went over to try this on and there was nobody there. It's like, yeah, no shit. They're trying to load pallets of food and toilet paper and, cleaning. Like, maybe this generation needs to have that experience because they've had everything at their fucking hands and everything at their fingertips for years and years and years, to where they need someone to say to them, be like, oh, guess what? This is not a time to go try on some leggings.
Yeah.
It's not one of those moments. Your yoga pants don't matter. There's people that are fucking sick.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, dude. You hit the nail on the head. Like, this type of generation, it needs that experience of like, actually talk to your family. Play a board game. You don't always need to go to the mall. You don't always need to go to the movies. You don't always hang out with your friends. You need to know. Maybe this is taking a little bit too extreme, but like you need to know what it was like for us. You need to know that things weren't always accessible like it was. They weren't always accessible for you like it was for us. It's a little different. And like with John's kids, their first bit of freedom, they're already looking at clothes. They're already looking at the things they want to look at. And I can just already picture John like what the fuck are you guys doing? We're here to get A, B, C, and D. So
when he told me that story, it was just, we just all kind of laughed. We're like, yeah, that's teenagers. Like, that's exactly like a teenage mindset to have. But also, maybe you need to have something like that happen for you to get your mind a little bit right. You know what I mean? It's just like the experience that, everybody has at some point where they're somewhere and it's a fucked up place. Like the first time, I'm sure you remember when you were a kid, the first time, you might not have an exact detail of it, but when you were somewhere and you go, yo, this is a place where 15, 16-year-old me, I'm not supposed to be here. Whether you're looking around and people are, fucking doing drugs or, fighting, whatever the fuck's going on, but you just, in your mind, you go, yo, I don't think this is the smartest choice right now. Like, if I hang around this is going to be a problem. And hopefully that's a wake-up call for a lot of people. I don't know, man. It's a lot of... I feel like this will be something that I'm going to say about 6 million times in the next couple months, but we'll have to wait and see.
To kind of finish up on this topic, what do you think this situation... It sounds like I'm doing an interview, by the way. It's crazy. What do you think this situation does with the SJWs, the snowflakes, the whole... I don't want to say Me Too because it's done some good, but it's also done a lot of bad. What do you think it does with those groups of people?
I think they're going to just keep putting along. I think a lot of people are going to keep putting along, and the sad thing is, this is what is going to keep getting people like Trump the attention and the money and the admiration from people, because once again, it's not going to get removed from it, where you sit there and you go, and by the way, I'm not even so goddamn sure. I don't think any of the politicians give two fucking shits about us. I don't think any. I don't even have this mindset where I'm going, these guys are better and these guys are worse. I think it's almost just across the board, no one gives a shit. And when it comes down to, though, the only thing that, like voting for either like Democrats or Republicans, the only message you're kind of sending at that point is like where culture is as far as the views on whatever is important to that group of people at that time. Like you'll notice a lot of the, when Bush was president, it was a lot of the, and I'm sure you saw it in Texas, Jesus is the best, and God is so important. Like you saw so much of that.
Yeah, San Antonio or Texas as a whole, we're very conservative, especially San Antonio.
Yeah, they were, but that's it. They were sending that message into the fucking, into the universe that like America's we're still a Christian nation and we still care about, like our apple pie and America and guns. And then, and then you vote in a guy like Obama and it's like, hey, we're looking for change and progress and, let's take care of take care of young people and our old people and our sick people. Now, granted, we didn't necessarily do as much of that as we'd like to, but it's not even about the action. It's about the message, to where that's what's being put out as far as the, this is where culture is. This is what we think. This is what we feel. And that's that. So these people going out and still making, like even the Trump, the Chinese virus thing. Mm-hmm. I can't sit there like, it's a Chinese virus and people, oh my God, I can't believe you say that. I'm like, just, how about pick the guy apart because he wasn't proactive about the thing? Not what he called it. Like that, focus on the shit that actually might, help you out and get you elected. Or get people to look at you with some reverence and some respect. Instead, it's the nitpicky bullshit that does nothing for you. He called it Chinese and it's insulting to say it's Chinese and it's going to incite violence against Chinese. It's like, no. Just say he did a bad job. Focus on the shit that he did, not the shit that he says. Because nobody, truthfully, has anybody given a fuck about the people that support him? Has anybody given a fuck about anything he's said for the past 4, 5 fucking years? I think that dude could legitimately stand on a stage and just drop say anything he wanted to. And there's a huge portion of the population of people in the country who just go, yeah, okay. All right, whatever. There's 1.5 million of you going to have to die so the economy keeps moving. I understand. It sounds like it's kind of shitty. I understand it sounds like it sucks, but you people, listen, you guys like Fuddruckers, right? You like cheeseburgers? We're not going to be able to keep the cheeseburger industry afloat for much longer if you people keep making the cheeseburger places close. There's a lot of people that will hear that and go, yeah, you're right. You're 100% right. So don't try to stop the fucking guy by his words. The only thing that you're going to do at this point is going to be effective is go after what he actually does. But that's where, like you said, is with the SJW, fucking angry internet people, all that other shit. Do I think that they're going to change? No. Because at this point, it's programming. It's just like, it's very like a religion. Like, do you think that anybody that's really religious right now, this whole event is going to change their mindset about God? Maybe. Probably not, right? You're in Texas, you tell me.
Man, I don't really hang around too many religious nuts. I don't really know too many or they're like that. Texas is full of them. San Antonio's full of them. I think San Antonio's a little bit more conservative than most other, cities in Texas. We're considered, we're a family city. We're all about family, and, this is kind of going a little off topic. I watched, Dennis Rodman, ESPN, 30 for 30, and, they talk about the portion where he was here in San Antonio playing for the Spurs, and David Robinson, who's, he's known as not a religious nut, but he's a Christian. He believes in God. He's very conservative. He's C&D. So, there's a story where Dennis Rodman had said that him and David Robinson pulled over in a diner after a game, and David Robinson literally pulls out a Bible and says, and I'm just paraphrasing, I think you should read this. It'll do you some good. The ownership kind of wants you to be more like the city, be more conservative. They want you to go to church, blah, blah, blah. And Dennis Rodman's just like, I'm good. Like, he's like, no, I'll pass. That's a hard pass. But that basically kind of tells you how conservative the city is. It could be good and bad depending on how you look at it and who you're around. It again, like I said, I try to stay away from the big extremists, if you know what I mean.
Right. But I mean, once again, then I think you just kind of answered it without even having to answer it. They're not going to change, right?
No.
I think they're invested in it. Their identity is invested in it, right?
And you know what I just thought of with those SJWs is like they get offended by things they're not supposed to get offended about, and then they get offended by things that they're going that I just had it in my head. I just had it in my head. Now I just forgot it.
Oh no, but like I kind of know where you're going a little bit here, but that's it. Is if you have this mindset, if you come from that frame of this is how I perceive the world, then come hell or high water, it's probably not changing. I just gotta admit, it's like they're not getting offended by things that they're supposed to be offended about, and they're getting offended by things that they're not supposed to be getting offended about. Well, it's a matter of, to them, Trump is a meme. It's a lot of very immature, childish, thinking all around on both ends, of the people that support the guy and the people that really, really, hate nothing more than him. It's like, well, just hit the fucking guy with facts. Use the actual information, and not facts like made up things, like or not made up things, but emotional based things like he said a virus was Chinese. It's like no. Be like, hey, the guy got a briefing that said, hey, this could be a huge problem. We don't have a pandemic team, and he said, it'll be okay, and then he went and fucking played golf. Like that. That to me, that seems more effective than just going after this like piddly shit. Because they haven't, but once again, like religious people, it's like a religion type thing, dude, where, you said David Robinson tries to take out the Bible and puts it in, it says to Dennis Rodman, like, oh, well, look at what I have here. See, read this. This will change your mind. It's like, no, that's not how this works. Like, that's not how this goes. You're not going to change his mind by just saying, oh, well, just like, dude, we're all well aware. We're all well aware. And truthfully, I think for a lot of people, what could teach somebody that's not religious or even anti-religious to have a respect or an understanding of the way that people behave that are. Probably doing what? Going to a church, seeing people, taking care of their kids and being respectful and, feeding people that are less fortunate than them, or being welcoming, having an open door policy, treating people well. Like, that is how you would get somebody who was not religious and say, you know what? They seem like decent enough people. And it's done through showing people instead of just saying to them, well, here's a book, read my book. Look at this fucking book. See that? Yeah, just read that. Okay, now you're on my team? Well, no, I'm not really on your team. Well, then fuck you. You're a piece of shit. Do good things. Do good things. Instead of, getting a million women to sit around and march and put on fucking pink hats and go like, people are so mean to women. Like, take all that money that you would have spent and fund fucking Planned Parenthood. Take all that money you spent, and set up charities to send fucking girls that are, from less fortunate situations or from parts of the world where they might not be able to get an education. Like, for what it's worth, people can sit there and say, oh, well, Oprah is a piece of shit and Oprah knows this, that. People are like, hey, Oprah, you got all this money. What are you going to do with it? And she's like, I'll go to Africa and build a school for girls in Africa. Cool. Good. You did a thing. You did a thing. Who's going to get mad at her for doing a thing? You did a thing. You had a feeling. You said to, instead of looking at other people and going, you should really, it's like she went and did it. She was proactive, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not going to change these people's behavior because, like I said, it's like a mindset that you have where it's like it's religious. It's a realistic way of looking at things, to where I could picture some of these people, as fucking crazy as they are, where someone could be sitting there with this coronavirus outbreak, right? Mm-hmm. And there's an old man, some 70-year-old man, and he's laying in the middle of the fucking, they're pushing him through the corridor, and he's choking, he's fucking blood and phlegm and everything's flying out of him. And someone's saying, oh, quick, he needs help. And they'd say, oh, which guy is it? Oh, you got to go get Dr. Johnson. And he'd be like, well, who's Dr. Johnson? Dr. Johnson, it's the big black guy. And he'd be like, excuse me, don't you mean African American?
And that's become
on his blood,
and that's become a weird thing too. It's like, why can't I just call somebody by what they actually are? It's like that guy. It's like, who's that guy? The guy standing, with the hat. It's like, no, the big black guy next to him. Excuse me.
Well, that's it. It's become such a cliche. I mean, this has been a joke from for decades. It was on Mad TV. Where it would be, people are just, they were even at a point where they are afraid to say shit that it is what it is. You know what I mean? And mentally, we're in a place where people are supposed to be so delusionally accepting to a fault that now I'm surprised, dude. I'm seeing people posting shit where they're still talking about healthy at any size, and it's like, yeah, dude, no, like 400 pounds, like these 400, 500 pound fucking people during this coronavirus thing, they're more susceptible to getting sick and dying. Why are we even having this conversation? Like, that's really the fucking truth. But I don't know, man. We'll have to see the fucking way that they, have to see the way that people clean this shit up. I don't have much faith in it, but we'll have to see.
I have faith in at least maybe one half of the country, but I don't know. I try to be optimistic, even though I can kind of fall into that category of being one of those people where it's like the sky is falling. But I try to be optimistic about certain things. But all right. So what can we talk about? What did you think about the new Jack documentary? We can close it out with that.
Yeah, we got to talk a little bit about that on this show. I mean, he's just a guy that so much has happened with him, and so much news, and so much just crime, that has surrounded this guy's life, and trauma and drama. That for him to have an hour-long documentary and them try to fit everything into it, they just weren't going to. Now, the Dark Side of the Ring shows in general are all well done, though. Mm-hmm. No doubting that. Yeah, I don't know. What did you think?
Yeah, that's one thing I kind of took away from it. Is like, man, it was like only under an hour. It's like, you really could have done a lot with New Jack. You probably could have like split his shows in two. Like, there was a lot to talk about with him because my girl, she came into the room literally when the show ended because I had watched it on YouTube, and it was at the ending where they asked New Jack, how do you think your life is going to end? He's like, I'll probably just be sitting in a wheelchair snoring coke, and it just ended like that. And I was just like, man, I wish there was a lot more to this because I wish they kind of delved into his past, his childhood a lot more, and
if they keep the series going, they'll probably have to return to different people. And the crazy thing is, as far as the wrestling world is concerned, you could do fucking 5-6 seasons of this and not break a sweat.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and again, like I said, I liked it. It's weird because I found myself laughing during certain parts. I'm like, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to be laughing at this because he's describing stabbing somebody and being high the whole time. I'm like, should I be laughing at that? And I guess it's just his presentation where he's like, yeah, I stabbed this guy, but I was high the whole time. And he's just laughing. I'm like,
he's funny. He is a funny person.
Oh, no.
Like the way that he presents things are fun, and that's another thing too. And it's people use it in comedy obviously as a vehicle, except in his case, it's really happening. But that's one of those inflection, the face that somebody is making when they're saying something. You're supposed to take that into account, Although with him it's tough. As I said, him sitting there saying, "So I'll stab this motherfucker." Like he's not joking. He really did fucking stab the motherfucker. Like that's really him. But yeah, I mean, overall, it was a pretty fucking entertaining documentary. Like I said, a lot of this Dark Side of the Ring stuff, though, it's going to be tough because if you've been actively following wrestling, some of the people who have been who are around my age, you're gonna have to try to take something old and make it new again. But so far, they've done a good job. So.
Of all the people they're doing this season, the only one I literally have no knowledge about is Herb Abrams, because I was on Julian's show Wrestling Court. Shout out to Julian, where he was bringing it up. I was like, it was me and Julian. It was another guy named Chris Bettis. I'm not sure if you know who that is. He brought that up. I'm like, honestly, and I'm probably the youngest one out of everybody on the show. I have no idea who that is. And Julian's like, what? You don't know who that is? So he kind of had to educate me a little bit. So I mean, I like learning about things, even if it's like wrestling, actors, life, whatever. I like watching documentaries, I like learning about people. So I'll look forward to watching that so I can learn something new.
Right. Well, that's kind of the whole point of the fucking thing. You know what I'm saying? Like that should really be what it is for a lot of people. Where obviously people were angry about the New Jack and the Benoit documentaries, and it's like which by the way, you should kind of know what you're getting yourself into when the thing itself is called Dark Side of the Ring. And it's not. You're not getting
happy times with wrestling. Gee, I wonder how this should go.
So many people, I swear to fucking God, now they don't understand. Like, if you're clicking and you're looking for something that's meant to be for adults, it's not going to be the Disney Channel. You know what I mean? There's a certain group of people where like Disney Plus happening was perfect for them because that's what they need to be watching all of the time. They need to be watching Disney Plus 24 hours a day because that's about as much as they can handle. Where it's like Mighty Ducks 2 is even cutting it a little too close for them. Could be a little bit offensive. The show itself, yeah, I mean, it's meant, I feel like, to educate a younger generation of wrestling fan. And I'm hoping that people watch that and go, oh, I'm taking away something from this and I'm learning something from it. Instead of just seeing it fucking upset and butthurt. It's like, well, that's life, dude. That's... well, guess what? When you're cheering for a guy and you're sitting there and you love a John Cena or Roman Reigns or whatever the fuck, like, those guys got here by this. That's how this happened. Anything that you're going to look at historically is going to have some nightmare shit to it, and this is some of wrestling's,
So, you said people were angry about the Benoit documentary. What were they? Hello?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I lost you there for a second. What did you say?
Oh, so because you were mentioning people were angry with the Benoit and New Jack. I can understand the New Jack one, but why were they angry about Benoit?
Oh, he's being presented as a hero. He's being made to look at as a good guy. Blah 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 blah. Just dumb shit, man.
I mean, if any, they should be angry at like Netflix for doing like a Ted Bundy documentary every year. It's like Jesus. It's like that's glorifying. I don't give a fuck who you are. That's glorifying.
There was some conversation about that when that happened, but that's once again like we love our murder porn. We love our fucking murder porn, and everybody watches this stuff and thinks it's so interesting. and fascinating and how great it is. It's like, yeah, well, there were human beings involved in that too. And this wasn't, and obviously in Benoit's case, it was extreme and it was awful. I mean, in the case of New Jack, people got beat up, they got stabbed, they got hurt. It was, violent and shit, but no one died. Amazingly, New Jack didn't kill anybody in the wrestling, but nobody died. And even the Vic Grimes thing with like Vic Grimes going off the balcony, that dumb fucker let somebody throw him off a balcony.
Yeah, like, what's weird, and I don't know if I'm the only one that feels this way. A lot of New Jack's incidents, they feel like they're kind of justified in a way because, Vic Grimes literally fell on New Jack's head and gave him brain damage, and New Jack got him back. The whole thing with I'm trying to remember his name, Gypsy Joe. I don't really think it was Gypsy Joe's fault. I think it was the crowd's fault. Because the crowd kept yelling the N-word. And, the last one, which I'm forgetting his name, I think his name was Hunter Red, I believe. The guy literally went to New Jack and, asked him for advice, but then was being pushy about it. And what made me laugh was New Jack's reaction, where he's like, what the fuck is going on? Like, who put him up to this? And, he literally just stabs him, which, again, I don't condone the violence. I understand why he was pissed off, because it's like New Jack made it very clear. I literally watched my dad stab my mom when I was 5 years old. I watched my dad shoot my mom in the back of the leg. Why do you think I'm so fucked in the head? It's like, this guy has seen a lot before he can probably even walk. And, by all accounts and purposes, you'll hear a lot of people that say New Jack is very chill, he's very relaxed, very funny, guy to be around, but you don't want to cross him in any way, because he'll finish it.
Right. Yeah, it's fucking crazy shit, dude. All right, man, I gotta start making my way out of here. I gotta make some din.
All right, man, yeah, we're
5 o'clock over here.
It is 4:35 p.m., so you guys are an hour ahead of us. We're about to get some dinner in a bit, do some takeout. Oh, man. I really appreciate you for coming on, man. It means a lot.
Absolutely, dude. Thanks for having me on. And I'll be talking to you sooner than later.
All right, sure thing, man. You're always welcome back on, by the way.
Thank you.
All right, take care, brother.
Talk to you later, bud.
You too. All right, that's a second edition of Yari Extra. That was Joe Numbas. That was a fun episode, by the way. Almost went an hour and a half. Most of it was talking about politics. It's crazy. Again, I'll try and do more of these. Preferably, I would want to do these if I had guests. Like, the main show is basically just a wrestling show, talking about entertainment. And it's just me, talking like an asshole for an hour and a half, talking about wrestling. This one I want to have more interesting conversations rather than just wrestling. So, again, I'll try to do more of these. I'll try and do these at least every other Wednesday. So, but yeah, take care, guys. I will upload this ASAP. So, take care.